WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Abuja. Good afternoon, and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio. Broadcasting on 94.9 FM around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. 18 girls perish in canoe accident in Nigeria's northwestern state of Jigawa.
We must sincerely condole families that lost their loved ones. We commensurate with all those affected in one way or another.
Ghana's President John Mahama assures Nigeria there will be no mass deportations, saying that recent fears sparked by old video are unfounded. Burkina Faso's media regulatory body suspends radio station for 3 months for referring to the current government as junta, and Liberia enacts new legislation to curb exportation of unprocessed rubber.
It's going to create jobs, it's going to grow our revenue, and Liberia will gradually become a developed country. When Baga does something that is not good, when there are missteps, we speak about it.
Stay tuned for stories of these stories and more.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
My name is Sankule Janko. Many thanks for joining our broadcast and welcome to the listeners in the Gambia, Ghana and Liberia. We begin the bulletin with some sad news coming from Nigeria's northwestern state of Jigawa. A tragic canoe accident has claimed the lives of 8 young girls. The incident occurred during a river crossing amid violent weather conditions, highlighting ongoing safety concerns for communities along riverbanks during the rainy season. West Africa Democracy Radio's Usman Umar has more in this report.
It was just after 8 p.m. on Saturday evening when a group of 15 children, mostly girls, set off on a wooden canoe to cross the Zangwan-Maje River in Taura local government area of Jigawa State. The journey was meant to take them from Zangwan-Maje to the nearby village of Jijin Gunka, but violent winds and an overflowing river turns the routine crossing into a nightmare. According to local sources, the canoe, likely overloaded and without basic safety equipment, capsized midstream, while 7 of the children were pulled out alive. The bodies of 8 others, all girls, were later recovered by local divers and handed over to their grieving families. The tragedy has sent shockwaves through the small community where river transport remains a daily necessity despite the seasonal dangers. Authorities say the incident was triggered by strong winds and rising river levels worsened by recent heavy rainfall. But for many here, the loss speaks to deeper issues of neglect and poor access to safe transportation options in rural communities. Governor Omar Namadi of Jigawa State has since commented on the disaster, expressing condolences and outlining state-level efforts to mitigate future incidents.
We must sincerely condole families that lost their loved ones. We commensurate with all those affected in one way or another. But still praying for a bumper harvest throughout the state. We also pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will compensate all those affected.
As climate change continues to intensify weather patterns across the region, residents are being urged to avoid river crossings during peak floods and to use life jackets and safer transport alternatives where possible. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Still with matters related to Nigeria, Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama has moved swiftly to douse rising tensions between Ghana and Nigeria, assuring the government and citizens of Nigeria that fears of mass deportation are entirely unfounded. This follows a diplomatic mission to Accra by the Nigerian Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odomegu Ojoku after a viral video triggered public concern and political debate in Nigeria. Nadi Ditete reports.
President Mahama has assured a Nigerian delegation that there are no plans to expel Nigerian nationals from Ghana. The reassurance came during a visit by Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, who conveyed concerns from the Nigerian government and citizens over a resurfaced video. The video, which featured a self-styled Igbo king discussing land acquisition in Ghana, sparked fears of retaliatory action against Nigerians. Odumegu Ojukwu said the footage caused panic back home, prompting emergency debates in Nigeria's National Assembly and calls from traditional leaders for their relatives in Ghana to return. President Mahama said the video was from 2013 and had been taken out of context. He noted that Ghanaian laws do not allow any external traditional authority to claim land or establish rulership without legal processes. He emphasized Ghana's commitment to ECOWAS protocols, adding that Ghana and Nigeria share deep historical ties and should never repeat past mistakes of mass deportations. He said those isolated individuals involved in criminal acts are dealt with individually through legal means, not collective punishment. The Nigerian envoy commended President Mahama for his leadership, saying her delegation had expected tension but was met with calm and clarity. Both countries reaffirmed their commitment to regional cooperation and peaceful coexistence. For WADR, Nadidi Teti, Accra.
In Burkina Faso, the High Council for Communication has suspended Radio Omega for 3 months. The country's media regulatory body accuses the station of negligence and lack of professionalism following the publication of an article that referred to the current government as a junta. Details from Christopher Atichu.
In its statement, the Higher Council for Communications said it had identified lapses in a report posted on the station's Facebook page on July 30. The report covered a protest march organized by the National Coordination for Citizen Watch in response to the death of web activist Alino Faso in Côte d'Ivoire. The media regulator stated that the report contained malicious and discourteous remarks towards the Burkinabe authorities. The criticism centers on the use of the term junta to describe the ruling government. As a result, the station, one of the most listened to in the country, has had its broadcasting authorization suspended for 3 months. The statement indicated that during the suspension period, Radio Omega was prohibited from airing any programming on its frequencies or publishing content on its platforms, including its website and digital channels. The council further directed the station to issue a public apology through its media outlets. The apology is to be addressed to the Burkinabe authorities, its audience, and the National Coordination of Citizens Watch Associations, CNAVC.
Ouagadougou correspondent Martin Kaba's report presented by Christopher Aticho.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
To some security matters in Mali, the military says it successfully repelled a jihadist attack on Sunday in the Gao region. The assault was later claimed by the Al-Qaeda-linked group for the support of Islam and Muslims, JNIM. Imo Edad reports.
The targeted site was a military checkpoint in Wabaria, located in the northern region of Gao. According to the Malian Armed Forces, the attack, attributed to JNIM fighters, was swiftly countered by soldiers stationed at the post. In a statement released after the incident, the Army's General Staff confirmed that several of the attackers were killed, though no specific numbers were provided. Military officials also reported the seizure of weapons and equipment. Such operations are still ongoing in the area. JNIM has claimed responsibility for the attack, stating that its fighters overran the Malian army post and its Russian allies in Wabaria. This latest incident comes amid a surge in militant attacks across the country. Just 2 days earlier, JNIM also claimed the responsibility for an ambush targeting a Malian military convoy in Teneku, a town in central Mali. In response to the rising threat, Malian authorities have reinforced security measures, especially in the western region. The curfew in Kayes, initially imposed following a series of coordinated attacks in early July, has now been extended until August 30.
Imo added with that report. In Cote d'Ivoire, political tensions are on the rise ahead of the 2025 presidential elections. The PPACI, the party of former President Laurent Gbagbo, is accusing the government of political repression following the arrest of several of its members. The arrests come in the wake of violent clashes in Abidjan's Yopougon district. Abdullah Hassan has more in this report.
In a strongly worded statement, the PPACI has condemned the recent arrest of several of its activists after a violent incident in Yopougon on August 1. According to Ivorian authorities, masked individuals armed with machetes and firearms attacked a police vehicle and set fire to a public bus. 2 suspects were arrested at the scene. Executive President of the PPACI, Professor Sebastian Dano JJ, rejected any link between the party and the violence. He claimed the arrests are politically motivated and designed to undermine a joint opposition march planned with the PDCI on August 9. Dano JJ also accused the government of launching a crackdown on PPACI members, including a sitting member of parliament. He alleged that several activists have been detained in undisclosed locations, calling the actions unconstitutional and a threat to civil liberties. With the presidential election just months away, the PPACI is warning of increasing violations of democratic freedoms. Despite the tensions, the party has reaffirmed its commitment to peaceful protest and respect for the rule of law.
Abdullah Hassan with that report. Still on news coming from Cote d'Ivoire, the country is gearing up for a grand celebration as the country marks 65 years of independence on Thursday, August 7, 2025. This year's festivities will be elevated by the participation of military contingents from the United States, France and Morocco, invited guests of the Ivorian government. Augustine Colley reports.
The highlight of the national event will be a high-energy military parade where nearly 5,000 Ivorian troops will march in step, accompanied by 500 pieces of military hardware. The presence of allied foreign forces is not just ceremonial. It's a nod to growing military and diplomatic cooperation between Cote d'Ivoire and its global partners. For the first time in the country's history, a torchlight procession will be part of the official lineup. Some 3,000 participants are expected to take part in this nighttime spectacle, setting the tone for a celebration that blends tradition with fresh energy. This year's theme, Defense and Security Forces, Guardians of Peace and Hope, places the spotlight squarely on the nation's military and law enforcement institutions. From the parade grounds to the cultural presentations, the event is designed to honor their role in safeguarding national unity. As the orange, white and green flag is raised across the country, Ivorians will not only celebrate their past, but also look to the future, one that continues to be shaped by strong domestic institutions and strategic global partnerships.
Augustine Colley filed that report. Here in Senegal, lawmakers are set to examine 4 important bills this week aimed at enhancing transparency in public governance and strengthening the fight against corruption. A central focus of the legislative session will be the proposed reform of the National Anti-Corruption Agency, OFNAC. Under the draft legislation, OFNAC could be replaced by a new institution, the National Anti-Corruption Office, with an expanded mandate and updated structure. In addition to institution reform, the National Assembly will also review bills related to asset declaration requirements for public officials and measures to improve public access to government information. These reforms come amid the public demand for greater accountability and cleaner governance in Senegal. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. 18 girls perish in canoe accident in Nigeria's northwestern state of Jigawa. Ghana's President John Mahama assures Nigeria there will be no mass deportations, saying that recent fears sparked by old video are unfounded. Burkina Faso's media regulatory body suspends a radio station for 3 months for referring to the current government as a junta. Still ahead in the news, Liberia enacts new legislation to curb exportation of unprocessed rubber. We also have guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Guinea, opposition leaders are reacting to last week's deadly floods in the capital, Conakry, which left 17 people dead and dozens of families homeless. Heavy rains submerged neighborhoods, collapsed homes, and blocked major roads. As recovery efforts continue, political voices are calling for unity and accountability. Opposition leader Selou Dalen Diallo urged solidarity, while Lassana Kouyaté called on Guineans to support the most vulnerable. Former President Alpha Condé, however, blamed the tragedy on what he called government corruption and neglect. In response, government officials visited affected communities over the weekend, offering food aid and medical support. They also pledged stronger flood prevention measures moving forward. Liberia's President Joseph Boakai has enacted Executive Order number 151 to curb the export of unprocessed rubber and boost domestic value addition, effective immediately. This initiative aims to transform Liberia's rubber industry from raw material export-based economy to one focused on value-added production, job creation and increased export earnings, thereby fostering inclusive economic growth. WDR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The order restricts the export of unprocessed rubber, including natural latex and couplung, while exempting processed rubber. Exporters must also adhere to new fiscal operations, such as a 4% Rubber Development Fund incorporated fees and a surcharge of US $150 per metric ton. Oppositions in the country have welcomed the president's decision. Tiawan Ganglo, a human rights lawyer and a political leader of the Liberian People's Party, since lauded the decision for its potential to create jobs and protect natural resources.
It's going to create jobs, it's going to grow our revenue, and Liberia will gradually become a developed country. When Baga does something that is not good, when there are missteps, we speak about it. We need factories, not fasting. We need policies, not prayer. And this is exactly what I mean. The next step should be an executive order to stop the exportation of round logs from Liberia so that Liberia can gradually become a furniture exporting country.
Some local rubber processors fear it will hinder their operations by complicating sales to larger institutions. Well, the executive order from the president says entities found falsifying documents or evading the order's provisions will face a US $50,000 fine for the first offense, where repeat offenders subject to follow penalties and potential ratification of export privileges. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
In our guest segment, we head back to Ghana, where President John Dramani Mahama has moved swiftly to those rising tensions between Ghana and Nigeria, assuring the government and citizens of Nigeria that fears of mass deportation are entirely unfounded. This follows a diplomatic mission to Accra by Nigerian Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Bianca Odomegu Ojoku after a viral video triggered public concern and political debate in Nigeria. Our guest this afternoon is Jide Ojo, a Nigerian political affairs analyst.
I think that's the hallmark of a statesman who understands history, who understands diplomacy, who also understands what statesmanship is all about. Those who are protesting against Nigerians and asking that Nigerians should leave their country are bereft of history of how the two countries have been united by so many historical facts. We are both colonized territories of Britain. We have had a fair share of military coups. We have educational ties. We have port ties. We have marital ties. We have cultural ties. And, there have always been occasional tension between the two countries, starting in the 60s, late. I recall in 1969 when Nigerians were deported, and then Nigeria was also in the 80s also deported the Ghanaians. That's why we have Ghana Must Go. In fact, up to today, we have a SAC called Ghana Must Go SAC. So those historical, but when two countries where you have had citizens with over 100 years of historical ties, it's not very easy to sever such. So what President John Mahama has done is that he has proven himself to be a good student of history, and he has done the needful by saying there will be no mass deportation of Nigerians. However, I believe those who are culprits, those who are giving Nigeria bad names, have to be fished out and appropriately dealt with by the authorities.
How effective are high-level diplomatic engagements, such as the visit by the foreign minister, your foreign minister, that is Minister Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu, in managing public perception during cross-border tensions?
I think it's quite in order. That's why we have foreign ministers. But I think one further steps that we need, that the government of Nigeria needs to take, and which I've said on another media platform, is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Nigerian president, incumbent president, needs to urgently appoint high commissioners and ambassadors that have been recalled since October, September 2023. Since he recalled them from their duty post across the 109 countries where they were, he has not appointed substantive ambassadors and high commissioners. And that should have been the work, what the Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu, Minister of State Foreign Affairs, what he did should have been done in company of the Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana. Unfortunately, the president has not deemed it fit or expedient to appoint replacement for those who were recalled in 2023. And that is why it is now urgent and important for the president of Nigeria to do so. But I think it's good. It's a very deft political move that Nigeria deems it fit to meet with the president of Ghana to have this dialogue, to strengthen, to smoothen the rough edges of our diplomatic relationship.
What role does misinformation, such as the viral videos that was circulating, play in shaping international diplomatic discourse, and how can governments counter its effect?
My brother, the greatest challenge of contemporary life and contemporary civilization is the challenge of disinformation, misinformation, and fake news, and fallacies, stereotypes. And it's just not a pigeonholed stuff that is limited to one country or tribe. It's an international challenge. A lot of disinformation is being spread. A lot of misinformation is being spread. A lot of fake news are being spread on daily basis, even on Nigeria here space. It has to be through internet police, because people, you can't, the world has become a global hamlet, not even a global village any longer. So even if you say you want to ban social media, there is a limited success you will achieve with that. And don't forget, every country has a freedom of information, freedom of association, freedom of press. So you cannot ban social media without infringing on the fundamental rights of citizens.
Jide Ojo is a Nigerian political analyst. Let's give you some sport news, and beginning with basketball, because some Nigerian fans are really happy because Nigeria's women basketball team, the Tigers, were crowned 2025 FIBA Afro Basket champions for a record 5th consecutive time after rallying from an early deficit to defeat Mali 78-64 in the final on Sunday, 3rd August, at the Palais des Sports Trackville in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. Mali started strong, taking a 26-20 lead at the end of the first quarter, but Nigeria responded with authority, dominating the remaining 3 quarters to seal a commanding victory over their West African rivals and secure a 7th continental title. Yes, 7th continental title. With the win, Nigeria booked their spot at the 2026 FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup in Berlin, Germany. Mali, along with South Sudan and Senegal, will head to the qualification tournaments next March for a chance to join them. In football, Madagascar and Mauritania played to a tense goalless draw on Sunday evening at the Benjamin Mkapa National Stadium in Dar es Salaam, as both teams kick off their Group B campaign at the CAF African Nations Championship CHAN Pamoja 2024. The goalless draw result leaves both sides living in what promises to be a tightly contested 5-team group, where an early victory could have provided crucial momentum. While both teams showed determination and created flashes of promise, the match was marked more by fouls than fluid play, with neither side able to find a breakthrough. The CHAN tournament, which features the players competing exclusively in their home domestic leagues, continues to serve as a platform for emerging talent across the continent. And in today's fixtures, Niger and Guinea will renew their rivalry in Kampala as Group C action continues at the CAF African Nations Championship CHAN Pamoja 2024. The two West African sides have met 3 times in official competition since 2012, with 1 win each and a draw. Their last CHAN encounter in 2026 ended in a dramatic 2-2 draw. Niger, 4th place finishes in 2022, aims to build on recent progress, while 2020 semi-finalist Guinea look to reaffirm their tournament credentials. It promises to be a very interesting game this afternoon between Guinea and Niger. And we have come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Sehnjai for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms X and Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our flagship health program, Well Body with Imo Edit. And Imo, in this edition, is talking about maternal and child health. I am Sankule Janko. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.